what has happened, because I think that's how more mistakes could happen, but we need to move on and not allow what I believe to be 20% of our board to be 80% of our time. We spend an entire day based on this request from one commissioner. We are now talking about a complaint of items that some are multiple years old from one commissioner. We really need to have a better balance and make sure that we move on and are able to accomplish the work of the city. Madam Mayor and other commissioners, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have regarding any of the other items of complaint that you would like me to discuss.
If staff had presented us a document that was free of grammar errors and spelling errors, we would be concentrating right now on legislative using this document.
City Manager? 15 minutes, I think.
Thank you, Mayor. Introduce Mr. Frank Miles, our Neighborhood Development Services Director, to get this process started.
Thank you, City Manager. For the record, Frank Miles, Director of Neighborhood Development Services. Item 190723 is with regards to the City of Northport's ULDC update. This project is currently nearing the end of what's known as Phase 2, which is the development of a draft, a framework, and public participation process. One of the Phase 2 deliverables is an outline of the ULDC recommendations on major issues. The consultants with Calvin Giordino and Associates have identified these major issues and proposed solutions during a discovery and public participation phase of the ULDC analysis and revision project. They've also prepared a draft outline. The issues discussed were identified and refined through a series of meetings and public workshops conducted between November of 2018 and March 2019. The issues were identified through previous studies, also conducted by the city, through an analysis of the ULDC, as well as a review by CGA, the consultants, as part of this project. Potential solutions to these issues were addressed at 2 community workshops conducted in February and March of this year, and also in further discussion with the city's staff development review team. The purpose of this today is to present the consultants' findings and to receive direction on some of these major issues and the potential solutions offered prior to preparing specific regulatory language that will be incorporated into final drafts, or first drafts rather, of the revised ULDC, which will be completed and is on target for October of this year. This report that is being presented does not present all the issues and proposed revisions that will be included in the revised ULDC. There is a process that is ongoing. We have with us today Mr. Louis Cerna of Calvin Giordino and Associates, he's the consultant, as well as Ms. Heather Hansen, our senior planner, who is also the project manager internally for this project. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Cerna.
Mayor, did you want 15 minutes?
Good afternoon. Louis Cerna with Calvin Giordano and Associates. Glad to be here today to give you this update and to request some direction on what we've identified as the major issues on the project. We are about halfway through this 18-month process. We've done a lot of work behind the scenes. And as the director indicated, we will be preparing a draft early October. And I know everybody's going to want to see the draft. There's going to be a lot more input when that draft comes forward. But before we get there, we have some important issues that we wanted to get your direction on before we included these in the draft. And behind the scenes, we have been doing a lot of work. There has been a lot of public input, a lot of good direction we've received from the public, and a lot of assistance from staff on understanding these issues. And that's been important. We have prepared the draft outline. I think that's important in making this a user-friendly document. We've also been working on formatting issues and just improving the overall visibility, I guess, the view of the way it's going to look, the way it's going to look and read. And we think these are important improvements that have been going on behind the scenes. But if you would, I'd like to go through. We have 18 recommendations in this report that we gave you dated June 5th. I'd like to go through these individually. Some of these are more complex than others. Some of these are very simple. But I'd like to go through and make sure we're all on the same page, and that way we can roll these into the draft. If we could, you have the report that we gave you entitled Major Issues and Recommendations. Starting on page 3, I won't go through the whole issues of organization, modernization, and standardization. We've already been working on those, and I think there's a lot of agreement that those issues need to be done anyway, so we're not looking for direction on that. But we'll move into what we start. The first classification is the environmental recommendations. Starting on page 3, we've identified as a major issue through the process, explore environmental/sustainable initiatives, incentives for green building, low impact development, solar, etc. So this is one of the more complex issues, I think. But again, I think once we boiled it down and got into what the actual issues are, I think it all boils down to that the code does not include very specific requirements. There's language about encouraging green development, but does not include a lot of specificity. In our analysis of the issue, we also determined that perhaps incentives, while it sounds good to have incentives to promote green development, they may not be effective in a lot of instances because incentives, and we've explained in the report, may not work as far as shortening review times, increasing densities and intensities. They may not get the results desired. So because of this, we are recommending in the first recommendation that rather than offering incentive, that the city consider establishing minimum standards for the use of low impact development, that's environmentally friendly stormwater design, and possibly other green building techniques. And again, you may want to limit it to just the low impact design requirements, and we can establish standards based on the percentage of post-development impervious area proposed to be included for low impact development. So again, it's really, the recommendation is to establish a specific criteria so we know whether or not these standards are being met. So with that, I'll just take your input on that first recommendation.
Commissioner, are you finished with your presentation, sir?
No, I was going to go through each of the recommendations.
No, yeah, let's just go through the whole thing.
Okay,
Otherwise,
okay.
we'll be here for a long time, I assure you.
Okay, yeah, and that, again, that's the environmental recommendation. We've also identified as a major issue, monitor pending updates to the ULDC. We're not recommending any direction on that. We are going to be moving on that. The second issue is encouraging more shade trees in parking lots. This issue really boils down to how palm trees are treated in the code based on further analysis, and the recommendation there is to specify in the code that if palm trees are used as shade trees in parking areas, that 3 palm trees shall count as 1 shade tree. The next issue, examine earth moving and dredge and fill standards to ensure that ULDC standards are not conflicting. This boils down to the issue of borrow pits and how they're treated in the code. We're recommending that borrow pits be included as prohibited uses by zoning districts. They're not currently listed in the code. We would point out that borrow pits are included in the definitions section of the code already, and the code does allow moving of fill off-site if it's incidental to construction activities. So we really want to distinguish between moving fill off-site that's due to construction. We need to distinguish between what's a true borrow pit, where they're moving fill just for the purpose of selling that fill, which is not, the same thing as moving off-site or on-site for development. Moving on to zoning standards, establish criteria for granting waivers. The ULDC, as you probably are well aware, has a waiver process for planned community development districts, master development plans, and village district pattern book review processes. The concern is that the existing language is fairly subjective in the code. We're recommending that the ULDC update establish more objective criteria for waivers to provide additional guidance in the decision-making process, and require that all requested waivers be clearly indicated in the PCD, Master Development Plan, and Village District Pattern Plan book. So I think this is really to eliminate some of the confusion that may be going on with waivers, and just to help establish criteria to help you make your decisions in those processes. The next one is to evaluate the need to establish a planned community development district designation specific to activity centers. Upon further analysis, it appears that this issue is the result of conflicting language in the code regarding whether the PCD district is intended to be a zoning district or an overlay district. Our recommendation is we provide clarifying language that the PC districts are indeed zoning districts, and when they are located in activity centers, that the use and the development standards applicable to that activity center be clearly indicated in the rezoning application, and that more restrictive standards may be requested through the process. But again, that is the current PCD regulations are very confusing. We've attempted to provide some clarification. We're just looking for a recommendation on whether or not we need to move forward on that clarification that they are zoning district standards, and we can move forward from there. The next recommendation is modify transfer of development rights, TDR regulations, and incentivize procedures. I think the concern with this process is that not a lot of developments are taking advantage of the TDR process. Not a lot of people are aware that there is a TDR process, and that was clearly stated in a lot of the public participation meetings we had. We're not recommending any specific ULDC changes to improve this. I think it may be outside of the scope of the ULDC. The city may want to establish an application form and a prioritization process to encourage TDRs for smaller developments, but again, that's something that we don't think is appropriate for the ULDC rewrite. The next issue, this is on page 7. We've identified this as pretty important. It's evaluating permitted, prohibited, and special exception uses by zoning district and streamline. The current structure of the ULDC is that in most districts, any uses that are not specifically listed as permitted or prohibited may be approved through a special exception. Certain uses are special exceptions in all zoning districts. And the recommendation here, or the search for direction on this, is I guess prior to 1990, the city had a process where special exceptions were specifically listed by zoning district. There are advantages to doing this, but there are also disadvantages to doing this, and I suspect in 1990 it was changed for a reason. But again, this is something that we want to request direction on, whether or not the city wants to go back to the older process where special exceptions are listed specifically by zoning district, or do you want to keep the current process? So that's the recommendation. That will have some major impacts, so we just want to make sure.
You have about 5 minutes.
Okay. All right, next item, review certain uses for inclusion, exclusion with each zoning district. We're not recommending direction on that one. Review the ULDC for opportunities to encourage employment centers. At this time, we're not recommending direction on that. It's sort of outside of the scope of the ULDC. Housing options. Encourage mixed use and a variety of housing options. Our recommendation on this one is that the code allow attached residential dwelling units in the commercial general, ILW, OPI, and CRL districts, and this would treat these uses as they are currently allowed and regulated in the commercial general zoning district. This would be to encourage, again, mixed use development and increase housing options. That's a comment we heard a lot through the process. The next recommendation is to provide incentives for workforce housing, to permit tiny homes or accessory dwelling units in specific districts. We have a couple recommendations on that one.
Did you say prevent?
No, permit.
Oh, sorry.
Permit tiny homes?
Okay.
So yeah, I hope I didn't misspeak, but anyway, it is to permit. We provided a couple recommendations there. The first is to change the definition of multifamily to allow detached residential units on a single parcel. We think this is an important change. It would allow greater flexibility. It would allow things like detached single family as condo units on multifamily parcels. Really wouldn't affect the nature of the use, but really just allows more flexibility. The second recommendation, one for careful consideration, is for guest houses or guest apartments to reduce or eliminate the minimum lot size requirement of 20,000 square feet in the RSF district, and to eliminate the 750 square foot minimum living area requirement for all districts. So again, very important for your consideration. Process and administrative. Creating greater certainty in the development process. This is an important recommendation. The code specifies that in certain zoning districts, all developments shall be approved as master development plans. This is the CG, CGS, RMF, NCHI, and I guess ILW, OPI, CD, and UI. And I guess the concern with this is that even for small developments, it requires every small development go through a process that is really meant for larger master plan developments. So again, this is an important issue, but we're recommending that we eliminate the requirement of section 53-6B that all developments in the identified zoning district be subject to the development master plan review process. They would still be required to go through a major or minor site plan process, but it would just eliminate the more strenuous review of the master development process. The next issue include a process for splitting and consolidating lots, again, of less than three, when less than 3 lots are involved. This is not a major issue. It's
You have about 1 minute.
all right, I'll wrap up. This is a process that's already in place. It's just the recommendation is to include this process in the code. Try to hit the highlights going forward. We have a number of recommendations based on parking. We think these are important and probably not very controversial. The first is to establish parking maximum. This is to eliminate the development of too many parking spaces. Again, we've added some, we would like to get direction to add some language to allow greater flexibility in parking. And this is to recognize new technologies and new uses that are coming on board that will change parking. But again, unless you know what those uses are ahead of time, or those technologies are ahead of time, we can't write them into the code. So we'd like to add some flexibility language that would allow developers to present some very specific, of a study for their specific use in the event that they would like to provide less parking. And I think this is a common comment that we received, that there's really too many parking spaces being built in the community.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll just take your questions or comments.
Commissioners, I would like to start with topics. Just kind of work our way through a few of the topics if they're all right. Are you okay with that?
I don't have a topic. I have a disappointment.
Well, that's not a topic.
This is not what I expected at all. Are you going to rewrite the ULDC and bring that before the commission to review?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This is not going to be the end of your review and the end of the public review.
Because
But before we get the draft, we wanted input on these issues so we could incorporate them into the first draft.
Okay, because these issues are extensive. And to be honest with you, what I was under the impression was that the items that we have already discussed over all these years were going to be incorporated into the ULDC, that, similar to the tiny homes issue, that you would remove repetitive codes both within the ULDC and the administration code. We would reduce the amount of information in here. We would organize what exists, but to write new codes would be like a side note, a side suggestion after we get all of that organized. And that this would never come before us in a regular meeting, that it would come before us in a workshop where we could hash all this out, because there is an extensive conversation to every single one of these elements. And I can guarantee you that many of these are going to lead to more conversation of more things that need to be added to it. So that's my concern. This is like the never-ending song. If we start here, the prohibition of burrow pits, I don't even know where to start with any of this, because I haven't had time to look up the codes that are associated with this. I definitely don't have anything here that says who it is that signed in for these public meetings. Were they the same people who came the first night as well as the second night? Why is there nothing in here that has a conversation about trees? Like, other than the palm trees? I cannot imagine that anyone had nothing to say about the tree code. So for all those reasons, I can't even make a decision on this until this is brought before us in a workshop, fully encompassed with an overall overview of everything. I had no idea this is how it was going to be presented.
May I interject with that?
I'm done.
Okay, Commissioner Luke.
This is leading to what you're talking about. They have come across these issues that they want our feedback on before they actually generate what you're talking about. So what you're talking about will still come, but because they needed these to be able to get us to your point, they're bringing this to us. Am I understanding that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
But in the same token, can't you just do what you're supposed to do, put this as a side note, and then it can be amended? Because I can guarantee you there's going to be amendments after that first original document comes to us. My concern is that this is going to lead us down a rabbit hole. That's my concern.
Absolutely, and if there's issues that you really can't make a decision on now, you want more time, and that's definitely the input. That's definitely valid input. We can set it aside. We just did not want to pursue a lot of these issues doing the research and the rewrite if the commission's direction was, no, we don't want to go, you're going in the absolute wrong direction, or, do it a different way. So really, it's just sort of preempting a lot of the work and trying to get some of that discussion ahead of time. But definitely, if you want to workshop individual issues, that would definitely be a valid way of going about this.
Workshopped. And the reason why I say the whole thing needs to be workshopped, you could have an hour-and-a-half conversation just on environmental and your suggestions. I mean, I think you need more people involved than what you're going to get at 10 o'clock in the morning. Shouldn't the building people who codes that this affects on a daily basis come in at, a meeting and be able to expound upon their opinions? I mean, 2 days is great for some people, but it's just not realistic as far as the workshops are concerned. It's not realistic for the daily person who works. It's just not.
Absolutely, and any decision any direction that we get today, it will be put in the draft. The draft will come forward, and there will be a lot of public input on those drafts. So these issues are not going away based on the direction today. They will be moving forward, I guess, and we're just looking for some direction or letting you know the progress we've made and the issues that we have identified and that you'll be seeing again.
Mr. Luke?
Well, I need to ask you, Mayor, before I have questions. You were talking about going one at a time. Well, I won't jump ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, if
We'll
we could just start in the environmental, and if
follow
some of
what
that
you
is,
want.
there's no decision that we can make right now, then that's the decision to be made. So,
When you go each of those, I have a couple of them I have
Sure.
questions on.
so let's start with the environmental.
Okay, I have a
Can I
question.
ask Mayor a procedural question before you begin? Do you want to hear public comment first on it, or do you want to continue with the path that we're on?
No, let's continue with the path.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Luke, we're starting with environmental.
My question, of course, is going to be the section about the palm trees. You're wanting 3 palms to equal 1 shade. Isn't that already kind of written in right now, the sizing of it and that? Isn't that sort of already in the ULDC?
I'll have to look at that section specifically. I think we started down a different path when that comment was originally came up, but I guess we will want to make sure that that is the recommendation. It may already be in there as such, but I think that was something that we were seeing that was not being perhaps enforced, or maybe those developments were built before that was put into the code.
Well, I think it deals with the sizing of when they look at the canopy. Personally, myself, though, I don't see the palm as being a shade tree. To me, it's 2 different things. To me, the palm is more aesthetic than it is shade. So especially when you're talking about the parking lots and that, I don't know how you can view them as being shade. So I think there's an issue there with that area. I think there needs to be a balance. If they want to use the palm tree for aesthetic, fine. But to provide the shade in that parking lot, it needs to be a shade tree, not a palm.
Mm-hmm.
That's my comment. I'm sticking to it.
Well, and I think what we were seeing is that perhaps, at least with the developments we looked at, there were palm trees being counted as shade trees, so.
And that is correct. I mean, and that topic has come up several times because the palm is not really a tree. It's really a grass or plant. So that has come up, that we were wanting to correct that and kind of quit using it, the term of tree with it, except for aesthetics. I mean, it definitely is something that is Florida. We identify, aesthetically within Florida, have no problem, utilizing them. But when we're looking for shade, and that is the definition and the goal that we're trying to reach is shade, I think we actually need to look at a shade tree, or a tree that provides real shade.
Okay.
That's all I have on that one.
Commissioner McDowell, we're on environmental.
Thank you. And Commissioner Luke pretty much took the words right out of my mouth, so I'll keep it even briefer. When you go to a parking lot, Floridians know you find the shade tree and park under that. And you don't see people parking under palm trees because they do not offer shade, even if you put 3 bunched together. To have a shade tree is a tree that offers shade, and a palm tree just doesn't do that at all. And I personally would like to see palm trees removed as any type of tree in the ULDC to meet any type of canopy requirements. And Commissioner Carasone is not here at the time, but I believe during our tree discussion on Thursday, that will be giving the consultant further direction regarding the tree ordinance. So that's my comments regarding the palm trees / shade trees.
Okay.
This needs to go away and
Okay.
just focus on shade trees, in my opinion.
Commissioner Carasone, you have anything on environmental, even if it says there's nothing we can do? Okay. Commissioner Emmerich?
No, pretty much echoing them. That was the only problem I had was the palm trees and the shade trees.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with taking out palm trees when it comes to commercial. But if I don't like oak tree leaves all over my yard and putting that acidity on there, I don't want to have to be governed on that. I would like to be able to say on my yard, if I want 3 palm trees as opposed to an oak tree, I have the right to that. So I don't mind this when it comes to parking lots for the.
I think that's what we were talking about.
Right, that's exactly. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that when I'm putting this forth, that from my perspective, I don't want it on residential areas, but on the big concrete lots that pump out all that heat. So he's looking for direction. Do you have is there anything you would like to give? You want to state it?
To remove the recommendation of palm trees as shade trees in parking lots. That it's a no.
Commercial parking lots.
Wait, to remove it?
Well, it says here that they're recommending that, let me start over, that they are recommending that 3 palm trees equal a shade tree. And I'm saying remove that whole concept in
Oh,
a
okay.
parking lot.
Can we just say the palm trees are used aesthetically, but to acquire the shade tree has to be utilized?
You absolutely don't want to keep people from putting up palm trees either.
That's fine.
So it looks like there's not yet. I'm looking for a consensus on to remove the 3 palm trees and replace for shade, but to be able to, but allow palm trees for aesthetics.
Yes.
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 That is a unanimous consensus.
In parking lots.
Yeah, in commercial parking lots, yes. Okay. So is that all we have on environment?
I didn't have anything on
Okay.
the recommendation for the first one. I think it's fine.
Sounds good. Then we're moving on to zoning standards. Does anybody have anything on zoning standards? For a button pushed.
I have a question on this.
Go ahead, Commissioner McDowell.
And I don't know, city manager or the consultant would be able to answer this. We're looking to have borrow pits be allowed by zoning district?
They're allowed now.
The code, if you go through the zoning district standards, it does not list borrow pit anywhere as permitted or prohibited. In most cases, it will be prohibited because you're not going to want a true borrow pit in most places in the city. So, or it would be a special exception. I think it would just be to recognize in the code that borrow pits are a specific use. Again, it's not the same thing as when you build a pond or build up your lot and you're moving dirt on and off the site. It's really when you're creating like a sand mine.
So
That's a borrow pit.
in the recommendation, it says to include borrow pits as prohibited or permitted or prohibited by zoning district. Borrow pits would generally, that's the word I'm kind of concerned about, be prohibited in residential, commercial, open space, and conservation. when would you generally allow it in a residential? Are you talking about that pond? But that's not a borrow pit.
No, and I think in residential, it would be always prohibited, so
So
yeah.
maybe just removing that word generally?
Sure,
Is
yeah.
what is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, we just didn't write that section of the code yet, but yeah, the intent would be in residential, you wouldn't want borrow pits. We would have to go through each zoning district and decide whether or not it's prohibited or permitted. And again, that would be part of the draft.
Also like to make sure that neighborhood commercial is included in the prohibited because they are in surrounding neighborhoods, and also industrial.
I disagree with those comments because the burrow pits, and I don't understand how they're prohibited because we have several that have been done here in the city, burrow pits, and then they get turned over to lakes, and they're usually in planned development communities, and one of which is actually out in the estates right on Tropicare. So I'm not real sure how this got muddied, but my point is they exist, and they have existed since the 50s. So when you're working on okay, just an example, the residential, if you have a residential area, I mean, I wouldn't say blanket residential, I would make sure that it's the correct use. Like a PCD should be allowed a burrow pit because they're gonna turn it around and use it as a point of discharge. You get what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and what we'll do is, we can go through each zoning district and
well, this was
list
kind of
it.
what I thought we were gonna get, and that's why
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed, that I thought we were gonna get the idea that, okay, the burrow pits should be limited to X use, and here is the draft, and these are the uses we suggest.
But that's coming, I guess. You're going to get, the issue's not going away, I guess. We just want to make sure we're moving in the right direction for that draft. So we'll go through each zoning district and list them. And again, if they're building a pond and they're hauling dirt off-site, we don't consider that, the code does not consider that currently as a borrow pit, so.
But it could become one, and that's
Well,
my
if it's
concern.
incidental to development that's going on the site, I should say.
I'm
Are you
fine
talking
with the
about as a commercial
recommendation.
use thing? Are you just talking about a straight out commercial use?
Yes,
as a
where somebody's
burrow pit?
selling sand. A lot of
Right.
communities, you see that, where somebody will have a lot of land, they got nice sand for construction, they'll sell that sand off the site. They're not developing the
I
site.
can give you 20 sites that, oh, I see, they're not, with no ultimate goal of
Right,
developing a site.
Exactly, yeah.
They're just
It's a-
dirt
it's-
farmers. They're
That's
just
the
farming out there
primary
now.
use of the property.
Never seen it here, that's why,
Yeah,
Well, I do
I
believe
got
that is
you
why
now.
we had the ordinance that you couldn't move dirt from one lot to another because somebody was trying to sell dirt off their land. Wasn't that was the case.
Right next to the public works
that
yard.
was, yeah, that was a personal thing.
There's there's several people that consider themselves dirt movers or sold dirt and stuff like that.
Really, this is the first I'm hearing that. I got you. Well, he did exactly what I'm saying. Created a burrow pit, sold it for many years, turned it into a PCD or a lake for an area of homes around it. And that was okay at the time, so.
I'm all right with their recommendation.
Commissioner McDowell?
I'm all right, but I would definitely like to make sure neighborhood commercial is added to that list.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
definitely where there's smaller lots and residential nearby, you wouldn't want somebody
Agree.
selling dirt off that.
Well, I'm okay with it too, Commissioner Garrison and Emmerich is good.
I just worry about the neighborhood commercial, because they may need a drainage area that requires pulling the dirt off, and the ability to sell it should be, but I don't know if you're gonna consider that a burrow pit.
Well, you know, if they're coming in for development and they're selling sand off, there's no problem. It's just, when they're
just
selling
selling.
sand and then there's no development.
Well, that shouldn't be anywhere in the city then, as far as I'm
Well,
concerned.
and that could be a
I mean,
recommendation.
I think that gets into our fracking issues. I mean, I think that should be nowhere in the city, bottom line.
Without development associated to it.
We'll go back and look at that. I mean, there is a section of the code that talks about phosphate mining and things like that, but I think it's mainly prohibiting it, but
Yeah.
it's not listed in a lot of areas, so we'll go through each zoning district, and it may be where it's not allowed as a true borrow pit.
Okay, so it looks like you have a consensus to go with your recommendation. Commissioner McDowell, did you have any more in that area?
Not on that.
Commissioner Luke, you have any more in the area of zoning and standards? Emmerich?
No, sir.
And Pearson. Okay, let's move on. Where are we at? So we're in housing options?
Oh,
Well, that's what we were doing.
You got the
That's what I was
waivers
asking
issue
for zoning
here.
standards.
You got a lot
That's what we were
here.
doing. So we're moving on to housing options.
I have a couple
Okay,
questions.
Commissioner Luke?
If you can help me with some understanding of the housing. Are you recommending in there the attached and detached additional being placed in the residential lots? I didn't see the residential mentioned.
okay, this is number 6A. Is that the one you're?
No,
Yeah,
we were doing zoning. That's what we just did.
Under 6, I'm not necessarily pulling out a certain letter. I'm trying to understand because I didn't see where the attached or detached was going to be allowed in a regular residential lot.
In a regular residential lot, single-family residential, it's only addressed through guest houses, so we're not making any significant changes other than, guest houses are already permitted in residential lots. In the RSF district, they're limited, you have to have a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet in order to have a guest house
I thought we already
or
had
guest
this
apartment.
discussion extensively to allow
I don't think we
accessory
completed
structures.
it. I don't think we
I
completed it.
don't think you were on the commission.
Well, that would have been in your first 6 months. That's
Yeah.
all I missed.
Yeah, the current code does have the 20,000 square feet.
Yeah, we did address the small
Thank
housing
you.
in the very first part of our,
Yeah, and
Commission,
about
because
accessory
there was a-
structures, allowing for detached structures, and it was all about affordable housing.
Did you guys put the 20,000 square foot
No,
in
we
it?
did not. I thought it was less.
And that's part of the question that I have. Why would somebody say 20,000? I mean, wouldn't the property itself dictate how much more you could actually place on it?
And Commissioner, I think that's exactly why we didn't put a limit on it.
right?
Yes, you're right,
Because I know
yeah.
we said that quite a bit.
Yeah.
The lot will dictate, the lot.
I see the size of that accessory dwelling being the same. If somebody wants to build just, a bedroom and bathroom for grandma or whatever, and they can do it within 200-300 square feet, I wouldn't want to limit that either. I think it's important that we have these accessory dwellings for families, especially in the economy that we have right now.
Mother-in-law suites, things like that.
And that is a
I
recommendation.
promise you, we talked about this extensively, and that, I mean, we talked about mother-in-laws, we talked about attached, detached, we talked about allowing for those structures to go up on single-family lots, on double lots, on acreage. This was already given direction by this commission, and this is why I have a problem with this. You see where I'm going with
Oh,
this?
yeah, absolutely. And
lot
I know
of
there's
this
a lot
has
of
already
things, a
been
lot of moving
decided.
parts, and we'll get that information. That's great, though. I mean, it looks like it's in line with what we're recommending, except perhaps some specific.
Why you're here.
Yeah.
Because there were things and some things fell through the crack, must be. So with what we have stated up here right now, Are you telling me that, yes, you guys are in agreement of these attached or detached accessory units on residential lots with the size of the lot dictating what can fit?
Yes,
Within
yes,
that lot size.
we're recommending elimination of the 20,000 square feet. Yeah, it would be based on the size of what you can fit.
And then what about the size of that accessory dwelling unit?
The same, we're recommending elimination of the
Thank
max square
you.
feet.
That's all I needed clarified in that section. Thank
Commissioner
you.
McDowell?
Yeah, I just need to get some clarification. So this 750 square foot minimum living area requirement, is that if there's already a home on it and we're only looking at the accessory uses? Or are we talking about the principal use of a home being under 750 square feet?
My understanding is that's the size limitation of the accessory, the 750 square feet. So it's fairly large for an accessory unit.
So the 750 square foot limitation, in this case, I'm trying to think how to, so if I have a home and I want to build a attached or detached or whatever mother-in-law on my property because I have the space, but I only want it to be 500 square feet, I can do that.
Not according to that standard, the way I understand it, because it's less than 750 square feet.
So
That's what I brought up, what I had a problem with.
what I'm trying to prevent is a home, is a piece of property. Let's say I have 3 residential properties and I want to put 6 little homes on 3 pieces of property. Or even 2 pieces of property or 1 piece of property.
Yeah, it would have to be an accessory to
That's
a
what I
single
needed
family.
clarification
Yeah.
on. So it has to be a accessory. It's
Yes.
not the primary home.
Yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
And then it
Okay
can
with
be,
that.
then it can be less.
Then it can be less.
Mm-hmm.
That I can agree with.
Okay, yep, I'm good with that also, Mr. Hermich. So you
I'm
got to
okay
go.
with eliminating both of these that's recommended in number 2. Both the square footage of the residential lot as well as the minimum per living area. I'm all right with any of that.
I am too. Honestly.
That's what we talked about.
That was the direction
Yeah.
in the beginning of our commission. So, Commissioner Luke, are you good with getting rid of the other one also? Okay, I am too. Commissioner Emmerich? Yes, sir. McDowell?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right,
And
so
I
we're going
want,
to get rid of both those.
Yes.
I want to go up to letter A if we can before we move on.
Yep.
6A, the mixed use of residential housing options. Was there a reason that neighborhood commercial was left off? Because neighborhood commercial, you could possibly have like a small office or a Dollar General and want to put on top of that in a neighborhood commercial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's already allowed, I was told, so yeah.
That's already allowed, right? Yeah.
It's not on the list, that's why I'm asking.
That's why I was asking what I did too, I didn't see it listed, but clarification.
Yeah, and so this recommendation is to also allow it in CGS, ILW, OPI, CRL.
But it doesn't list neighborhood commercial. That's why I'm asking if there was a reason neighborhood commercial was left off.
Yeah, and we're not recommending a change to that existing, so yeah, that it would remain as it is, where you could already do it in neighborhood commercial, so.
I'm looking.
If, I don't have anything more on 6, but I skipped over 5 and I prematurely said nothing. If you were quick.
Okay, Commissioner Pearson has to leave, so she's looking for questions. Can we move
Yeah, I
to
know.
5 so
You
you can
guys
ask
go
a
ahead.
couple until she gets hers in?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
we're going to move back to 5 for.
5,
Commissioner McDowell.
5, letter A. It's my understanding that you're requesting that we remove commission authorization for waivers and DMPs. Is that correct? Is that what this recommendation is saying?
No, it's really just saying, establishing criteria. Now, the commission would still be involved. We would just give more objective criteria for you to make your decision on whether or not to approve or deny the waiver. I think the concern is without objective criteria, decisions may not be being made on a consistent basis, or perhaps there's not a lot of direction that we can, that the code can provide you. So this would just give you a little more criteria on which you could base your decision. We don't want to get into a situation where waivers are just a way of getting around regulations, so anybody can ask for one and take their chance in getting it. There has to be, we want to provide reasons for granting or denying the waiver.
And Commissioner, if I may, yet again, I think we already had this consensus that, and I can tell you that in the past, prior to 2010, there was a list of things that you had to comply with, like 13 lists, 1 through 13, in order for you to qualify. And if you met one of, or 3 of the 13, then it supported the reason why you allowed it to move on. One of which was, comprehensive plan. It matches your comprehensive plan, or it doesn't hurt any neighborhood, or it complies with the design standards of your neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That used to exist. I don't know how it went away. So,
I just want to make sure commission approval wasn't being removed. That's all that question was relating to.
It will not be.
Thank you. Going on to 5C, it says here to consider TDRs to smaller developments. And I've heard you say it during your presentation. I see it in this document. What is considered a small development? What criteria determines a small, medium, or large development?
We would have to determine that, I guess. It would, we don't have a specific code recommendation on this right now. I think it's something that we're going to talk about, I guess, as a future policy direction that the commission may want to consider. Why TDRs are not being used. And it may be because the larger developments already have the density and intensity they need. Perhaps the commission would want to consider for allowing smaller developments, perhaps, as small as 3 acres, 10 acres, something like that. I think those are
Need that defined before I
Yeah, it would
can
need to be
approve any of before I can say yes to the recommendation of 5C. I would need to know what is a small development. So I would definitely need to have a little bit better clarification on that.
Okay.
All right. And that's all I have on 5.
All right, Commissioner Carrot.
yeah, and then I really
She's
gotta
going to
go.
kind of bounce because she's out of here.
The parking lot requirements, I agree that it
Which one is
need-
that one?
I'm sorry, 8. I agree it needs to be more flexible. However, I don't agree that we require too many parking spaces. I think, well, I shouldn't say that. I believe we may require too many parking spaces, and therefore the parking spaces are too small, if you know what I mean. I think there needs to be a real evaluation of the distance, more of an engineering kind of look at it, that some of the newer developments, commercial developments, it's very difficult to pull in and pull out without hitting your car, the car behind you, I guess is pretty much it in a nutshell. So while we say that may be too much, too few, I don't know. Or it may be an engineering standard that we're just not looking at when it comes to that pre-review in the planning area. I'm not sure. But the bottom line is, yes, I agree. There needs to be more flexibility in what's allowed and what's not allowed. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. We have to look at the development overall. What is the future plans for it? Because, I mean, for a perfect example, Cocoa Plum, they had all those spaces paved, and then they went and they were never used, and then they built out certain portions of that parcel, which were always planned to build out certain portions of that parcel. So why did you have to pave it in the first place? Imagine how much money that was just a waste, you know? I think we need to get a better understanding on that. Now, if they change their mind, they're not going to do the out parcel in the future, because they had a timeline. I mean, Benderson was very on it. If you're not going to do that, why are we requiring it if you're going to build a building on it in a year, 2 years? So I think you should be more flexible, and the less or more, I think, needs to be individualized. That's what my point is.
Thank you. Commissioner or Kirsten,
I was waiting for her to go through her list, and she's got to go.
I
can jump back on it at any time.
Drive-throughs. I think the rest of it I am good with. The only thing is that when we talk about the bike racks, benches, and bus shelters, in the past, we've gotten MPO funding for that, and I'm looking at Frank just so he knows. We've gotten a lot of MPO funding for that. We should probably look back into that and see how we can recoup some of those capital investments, because we also need the SCAT coverage as well. That was something that I haven't seen recently, is that when they do a PCD or they do some sort of development, they were supposed to have a SCAT bus shelter when they did it. West Villages was supposed to do it, but they never did. That was all part of our requirements. So I don't see that anymore, or at least not being adhered to anymore. And where did that go? And how does that apply today? Do we need to do something about that to make sure that the developers are putting those shelters in there? I don't know. So just kind of a keep an eye out. And with that, I bid you adieu. I will get back here as soon as I can.
thank you, Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner McNeil.
So I believe we finished housing. I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
did
we have
housing?
finished
Okay.
housing. We're over on 7 now.
Okay, so 7.
Process and administrative procedures.
Says here that for 7A, eliminate the requirement that all developments in identified zoning districts be subject to a master development plan. Here we go again. If we are changing our process for review, this is going to eliminate commission. And by eliminating commission, you are also eliminating the public to be able to come and talk about a development that's happening in their neighborhood or around their area. And I do not like relinquishing commission responsibility and community input. So I would never be in favor of 7A. That's just me.
Commissioner Luke, do you have anything on that?
I was waiting for a response from him. Is that what you're doing, is eliminating? I mean, here's
Okay,
Nicole.
sure.
Because I don't think it was eliminating it.
Hello, Nicole Gale, House Planning Division Manager. I just want to clarify a piece on that. So what we're talking about here is really these single-use sites where you have one use coming in on one piece of property. So not like a Cocoa Plum where you have everything coming in. If the concern is still citizen feedback, we could always tweak our neighborhood meeting process to still require neighborhood meetings for those. So I just want to kind of put some other perspectives in there.
I could never approve it either way you want to slice that piece of pie, because this is our job. So that's my thought on it. Because yes, you could have a community meeting where the people 1,000 feet nearby that parcel, but it may still directly impact outside of that circus, the circular area. I really think that we need to just keep it where the commission approves all the DMPs and this other stuff that's in here. That's my opinion.
Can you give an example, Nicole, please?
Dollar General.
Yes, there is an assisted living facility on Greenwood that came in. So that is one parcel, it's one use going on the site. And so they have to come in for a development master plan before they can do their major site development plan. The two plans were almost identical. So it's extra steps for a developer when there's a use that's permitted by right, and all of the, if they're not seeking any waivers, it's kind of a redundant step for them at times.
Thank you.
Commissioner Evans, you have anything on it? Okay, and I'm okay with that.
So are we getting consensus to keep it or remove it? Because
I'm all right.
Well, it looks like we have a
with it.
consensus to keep it.
to keep it?
Keep the regulation or keep the recommendation?
Because currently, we have to approve DMPs. The DMP allows citizens to come and address us about a development that's happening. And by going with this recommendation, we are removing not only our responsibility, but the citizens' input.
I think we're removing the redundancy because we can,
It's not redundant.
well, that's what we were just informed, that whenever everything is already kosher, they're having to do an extra step. So
But
we're
that's
removing the-
one instance. There are other instances, we can't just go by that one instant. There are other instances
But
where
if you hear what she
DMPs come
said-
before us.
Right, but if you hear what she said, in the situations where they're like this. So, I mean, that was the way I understood it, right, Ms. Gelhaus, in the situations?
By following this, it would be removing it in all instances.
There's that rabbit hole.
The intent is not to remove the development master plan process for all projects, only for ones where it's a single use on a single site.
Single use on a single parcel, and that is where I'm concerned. It's not the same ones that are, hey, we did it here, we're going to do it over here. It's all of the DMPs on a single parcel that is a single use. It's
All right,
just,
then let's get a consensus.
Well, the way I see it is it's zoned for that single use. Nobody can, I mean, really change it because the zoning is there, it is going to be allowed.
Without an exception.
And, I mean, she mentioned the Dollar General, it was zoned for that, it was going to happen no matter how large an outcry came about it, it's still going to go on. So I understand the redundancy aspect of it, because you can't really tell somebody, you can't build something there if it is that single-use zoning
You meet
for
all
it.
conditions.
Exactly.
So let us get a consensus. Are we going to keep it, the
The
recommendation?
recommendation.
Yes, I think I have a no. I'm a yes, you're a yes, Commissioner Carrasone, since you're still
I'm a
here?
yes.
Okay, so you have a consensus to keep it.
Okay, now.
Okay, goodbye, Commissioner. Commissioner Carrasone has left the house.
Oh, we'll be here.
Anything else, Commissioner McDowell?
I don't understand 7B, include information in ULDC regarding the necessary processes for splitting and consolidating lots that are not subject to plating requirements. I don't understand.
Yeah, and that's a good question. There's the state law and the code have a process for when you create 3 or more lots. You go through the subdivision process and then the plat is required. Now, if you just want to split a lot, there is a process that you go through, but it's not included in the ULDC. So it's just including those regulations in the ULDC.
So what is splitting a lot? Isn't that replatting it? I don't understand the difference with splitting versus platting.
It's, you know, technically it doesn't fall under the subdivision regulations of the state, so they're not regulated by the state, but locally there is a process for tracking when somebody wants to divide their property. You know, you got to make sure, of course, they're not dividing the middle of a house or, you know, creating a lot that's non-conforming. So it's really just adding regulations for a process that already exists.
So if you own 4 acres and you want to split it into 3 different little individual stores, you wouldn't have to replat that?
Now, if you just want to split it once to create 2 2-acre lots, you wouldn't go through the platting process. There's a process that the city currently has. Those regulations just are not included in the ULDC.
So splitting it is taking 1 parcel and putting it into 2?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And replatting it is taking 1 parcel and splitting it into 3?
Well, once you divide it again, that becomes, you have to go through the subdivision process. So it's really just a one-time split. And the other thing that happens is people want to move a lot line between 2 lots. just adding language to allow someone to do that.
So if I have a parcel that has 4 acres and I want to split it into 2 and we get the okay to split, however that process is. But then later on I go, I don't want that 1/2 a parcel. I want to now split that again into 2. What happens then?
Then you go through the standard subdivision process in the ULDC, and you have to do a plat because you're creating more than 2 lots over time. So you don't want to have a process where you allow somebody to do a one-time split, because somebody could theoretically do that until, they're left with 20
Exactly.
lots. So, after you do your one-time split, you have to go through the regular subdivision process.
So this is a one-time deal, one and done, that's it?
Yes.
You can't come back, even though now you have 2 parcels that were split, to do another one-time and done?
That's right. You could not.
All right.
And there's already a process, it's just not written in the ULDC.
Yes.
That's all I had on that.
That's all I have on 7.
One other question. On 7D, it says remove review timeframes from ULDC and adopt these timeframes by resolution. Help me understand what that means.
Yeah, and this is a minor issue. The code specifies in certain areas that certain reviews have to be done with so many days. And the recommendation here is to take that out of the ULDC and just reference an administrative manual or a resolution that specifies timeframes. So just taking it out of the ULDC, allowing greater flexibility by putting it into a resolution if processes change or something changes where staffing changes where you can get things done quicker or perhaps longer. It would no longer be in the ULDC, but by resolution. So the commission would see the resolution and approve it, but it would just not be a part of the ULDC. And this is really just to allow greater flexibility.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Commissioner Luke, you have anything on 7? Commissioner Image?
No, sir.
Okay, let's move on. Moving on to 8, parking and loading. I got Commissioner McDowell with the trigger finger.
Oh, sorry. You want to go first?
No, go ahead, Commissioner.
8B, only one I have on this one is 8B. It says incorporate language in the ULDC that allows a subdivision and approval of a parking study as an alternative to the parking standards. Who's paying for that parking study?
The applicant would pay for that.
That needs to be clarified in the,
Okay, yes.
thank you.
Commissioner Luke?
I just wanted to say that I liked your recommendations in this section because it talked about minimum standards rather than incentives. Sounds like some people were recommending incentives, but you get that, that it doesn't always have to be an incentive. You actually can put within it the minimum standard or the standard that you want established. And I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Nope. Mr. Emmerich, do you have anything?
No, sir.
On 8. And it looks like, so is there anything else at all?
I think it's
before
a
we
great
move on?
job.
Okay.
Appreciate you bringing it
Appreciate
forward.
that.
Thank you very much for coming.
All right, yeah, thank you for your input.
Yep. And with that, we are
No,
going.
hold up. Mayor, I think this lady sitting here
I was going to move on to public comment.
is, I don't know are you Pat Schweitzer? No? Okay, she's not.
Okay, so is there?
Do you
nothing-
want to hear public comment on the ULDC then?
Yep. Bill Gunnan is here. And I'm sorry if I can't get this. It looks like Betty Kidziora.
Okay.
Oh, did I do that right? I'm amazing. No, I'm just kidding. You say so myself. And then I have Mr. English. Go ahead, Mr. Gunnan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Bill Gunnan, I'm the Executive Director of the Northport Area Chamber of Commerce, and let me put my eyes on it. It's not fun getting old. Well, thank you for the opportunity to come here and speak. I just kind of want to express the disappointment and frustration from our chamber members and members of our business community on the time it's taking to complete the rewrite of the ULDC. Again, I understand the process has been going a long time, but I thought it was important that you are aware of the frustration that we are hearing at the Chamber of Commerce. And some of the things is, as you know, we have what's called the Business and Economic Development Committee. And some of you have been there at those meetings. And we've been working on trying to help the city with a rewrite of the ULDC, obviously on matters that probably impacts most of the business community in our area for over 2 years now. And we had focused mainly right now on the activity center language that's written inside the ULDC. We had reviewed it, had comments on it, and rewrote language in that and presented to commission, city staff. I was understanding that it was presented to the consultant. I actually attended 2 of the community meetings. On the first one, presented our rewrite to the consultant. At our last Business and Economic Development Committee meeting, the committee members were frustrated because they've never heard back from anybody as to whether our recommendations were even reviewed, entered into this rewrite, considered. So they would love to hear back if it's been seen, if there's any recommendations from what we worked on that is being included into the rewrite. We had also are going to be focusing, once we hear back from that, wanting to look at the language in the zoning that's currently written in the ULDC, because we believe there's a lot of issues there that are affecting economic development in our business community. So we would love to hear back as much as possible, as soon as possible, about our recommendations to you on the activity centers. We requested to the commission and to some of the commissioners and to staff about the possibility of the consultant attending one of our Business and Economic Development Committee meetings where we can invite our members and the public to attend so that we can share our viewpoint on the ULDC and what needs to be done for the betterment of the business community. And I was understanding that that was not possible because there's a written contract, how many meetings that they could attend. I would just like for you all to reconsider that and invite the consultant to come to one of our meetings, because we have a lot of expertise, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, individuals in our community and in our members that could provide great insight into the rewrite on areas of the ULDC. So I'm running out of time, but I want to thank you. But again, I extend an invitation for the consultant to come to our next Business and Economic Development Committee meeting.
Sure, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, were you in receipt of some of those?
Yes, I did, and I appreciate getting the specific comments that they gave us. That's always helpful. So we did receive that, so we can respond through staff. There was a lot of issues. I don't want to get into the details, but a lot of it was comprehensive plan, would require changes to the comp plan, which.
That's okay. I think just communication with all the stakeholders, you know, if they're sending them to you and you're asking for them, maybe just say, hey, we received this. We'll get
Absolutely.
back to you. It would be great. Communication's key.
Yeah, absolutely, we will.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gunn. Commissioner.
Yeah, just so you know, I too am frustrated with how long this is taking. I was a candidate when this was first being discussed, and I want to remind everybody that we had originally hired the University of Florida to do the ULDC rewrite. And that was a huge boondoggle mess of all sorts of messes. And finally, we were able to fire them. And then we had to go through the process again to hire the consultant we have now. So yes, it has been a long time, but there's a reason that it was long. It has nothing to do with this consultant.
No, I understand.
Okay, I just want to make
And they're
sure.
right on target with their
So far,
schedule.
yeah, they're right on
No, this
schedule.
was not directed at the consultant.
Okay, I just wanted to
No,
make sure that was
it's
clear.
just in general.
Because for the record, I've been quite pleased with the way this company
Oh,
has.
yes, very
I
much
mean,
so.
maybe it's because of the last one, but I've been quite pleased with this.
No, again, no, this is not directed to the current
Yeah,
consultant.
okay, I just wanted to clear that up. And city manager, the chamber is looking to see if the consultant is willing to meet with them at possibly at the chamber's expense or maybe at the consultant's.
If the
That'll be up
current
to them.
contract does not have a provision for that, that's been explained. They're invited to all of the public meetings, just like the rest of the public
Exactly.
is. If somebody, I mean, I don't have the funding to change the contract. If
I'm not
commission
willing to do that.
directs
but if
that.
in their good heart, they choose to do so, I would not have a problem.
And maybe throwing
The
it out
problem I have
there.
with that is, what are you gonna say to the next organization that asks and says we want them to come see it to that organization.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It opens the door.
Reason.
They can reach out to them, and if they decide they want to do it, I don't have a problem with
Yeah,
it.
I was not advocating that this commission revise the contract and pay, but maybe if the chamber wants to foot the bill and meet with them.
But that's up to them, whether or not they want to
Yeah.
step outside of the zone.
Chamber and the consultant,
Yeah.
if you want to pay the consultant and they want to accept it, have at it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Kadziora?
Can I make one comment?
Yes, ma'am.
We don't know how the writing of this is going to end up being brought forward. It's probably going to look entirely different than what it looks right now. And I know for years the chamber has been working on the old document, but they've just been rewording the way it sits currently. And so though the ideas that they bring forward have been passed on and they're being understood, doesn't mean that the way they wrote it is actually going to be presented. So just give heads up with that.
Okay, ma'am. Please state your name for the record, and you have 3
Betty
minutes.
Kadziora. I am here to see if you would consider changing the zoning in some areas in Northport. I'm particularly interested in building a self-storage facility, and I found a great location on the corner of Cranberry and Price. There is a Dollar General store there, and it's zoned in neighborhood commercial. Now, I work with Storage Authority, and I know that they're very happy and willing to help create a nice facade so that it'll look nice for the neighborhood. There'll be plenty of security. It's a great business for the area. It'll bring tremendous revenue for the city. So if you want to rebuild the pool for the YMCA, it'll help out with that because it's the highest tax per square footage that you guys will earn. Also, another great fact is the people that do rent from storage facilities usually rent within a 3-mile radius of where it is. There's nothing within 3 miles of that corner of Cranberry and Price. So it's further out. I've done thorough research, so I was just wondering if you would be open to that opportunity to help me, and then I can help you guys with other things within the community. Also, Storage Authority is great on helping people in the community. We like to give back. We're not going to be like our competitors that just stand there and just earn money. We're big on giving back to the schools, letting them do car washes in the parking lot, providing the food that they can sell to raise more money. So we're all about helping out with the community. So that's it.
Thank you very much. And City Manager, there is a process that we have that they can go through to do these very things.
Yes, sir.
Staff can get with her concerning those
I'd like
processes.
to get with Mr. Miles in the back. Is the gentleman nodding at me in the very back row?
Yeah.
Perfect.
He can
Yeah, he will get with you
through that
because we do have
process.
processes for exactly what you're asking for.
Can I make another comment about the zoning thing? I mentioned, I heard them say that they want to put single families in a condo development. That's a lender nightmare. If you're going to put single families in a development, I'd say put it in a PUD, planned unit development, versus condo. So. that's
Thank you.
all. You're welcome.
Yeah, my comment was to get with staff to have
Yeah,
them
so-
talk with her, so thank you.
Mr. English? Come on down.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for hanging out.
Wayland is Northport. My concern is with the palms as far as not being trees. But the issue is that sables are a part of the natural ecosystem within our community. And therefore maybe some kind of special exemption could be made, but they're still not trees. The other aspect is, as was stated, oh, I know what it was. The Queen Anne palms, the real fancy ones that they're planting primarily. I think Alice told me the other day, Alice White, that they are now considered a Class 2 invasive species. Do you know why? Because so many of them are being planted. They're not growing, but because so many of them are being planted. Mr. Lewis and his people have been very, very excellent in answering my questions, and you know I ask a lot of questions. a concern I have is with the rewrite of the tree ordinance, it seemed like you would consult the consultant as you rewrite stuff to add to the Unified Land Development Code, and would not be continually making amendments as the code is being written. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Which seems to be a process. And another issue with the Unified Land Development Code is the number of amendments that have been made. It seems like you've made, I asked him what the number was and I didn't quite get it yet, but a significant amount of amendments. And every amendment that you do has cause and effect within the code. It doesn't appear that anybody's been keeping track of the cause and effect of the amendments you've been passed on the overall code. One other issue that was brought up is the fact that you're putting too big a house on too small a lot. That is one of the biggest issues as it relates to the environment. Having the ability to split lots would alleviate a lot of that problem. That's about it as far as that, and I know I'm forgetting something, but that's about it. But the amendments are the key, way too many. The inconsistency is what's ruining the Unified Land Development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. English. Okay, and with that, we're going to take a 45-minute lunch break. What time does that put us at, Ms. Taylor?
About 2:30.
All right, so we'll be back here at 2:30. Well, that's 1 hour. That's
An hour.
That's an hour. Look at this guy trying to squeeze.
10 after 2.
It's almost.
I need to ask the accountant.
2:10.
2:10, 1.5 hour.
All right, let's do 2:10.